All right. You guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You can start whenever you're ready.
Cool. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're on. This is A Sound Place. My name is Lauren. You might also know me as Boolene. And this is Antonina Nowacka.
Hi.
Hi. We're gonna do a special show today. This is not my normal show. I don't normally talk to people, but A Sound Place, I always have a guest come on, and they always pick tracks and pick a theme for themselves about like a particular place. So if you've seen the flyers for my shows, sometimes they're these imaginary places, sometimes they're very real and like in your neighborhood. And what I love about having a guest on is number one, I always pick a guest that I've never played with before. So when they pick this place, I have no idea what it's going to sound like, but I also try to soundtrack that theme or that place. And then when we come to the studio, we just let it rip. So sometimes it's super unpredictable, and it can really range from, really meditative shows to just like all out bass cavern, goofy times. More than anything, I really just like love having that conversation with people, which is without words. But this time we're gonna do a mix because you're in town for a very special event. You performed last night at Lincoln Center, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna perform again tonight at Lincoln Center.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about both of those shows?
Yeah, yesterday was just my solo performance for voice. I use my voice as an instrument, and I just like to like to imagine some stuff, like what I can do with the frequencies, and I feel like this instrument is so vast, like there is no ending in like exploring it. That's why I love it so much. And today the performance is actually like a big ensemble. It's called Weavings, and it's organized by Sound Festival, and I'm very curious how it's going to be, because it's like mostly improvised, and also these musicians I never played before, so I'm very excited.
I'm trying to remember. It's a really long list of names, but Nicolas Jaar was the person that initiated Weavings. Yes. And then who else is performing with you tonight?
I don't remember the names so much.
What do we have? I think I remember Robert Aiki Aubrey Lowe is on there. There's so many names.
Yes.
But just a quick plug, yeah, go look at the Lincoln Center's website and look at this incredible list of artists that are going to be improvising together. But what we're going to do now, we're on air for an hour together, and we're going to run through some tracks that Antonina sent me. This is a really fun like blend of tracks. So we're going to listen to, some of her original work, and we're going to chat about it in the context of a sound place, because so much of her work is responsive to particular environments, whether they're external or internal. And I hope you've been able to listen to some of these albums before tuning into this show, but if not, you'll get a peek. And then afterwards, please go buy these albums because they're exquisite. So let's have a listen, and then we'll come back to chat. Here I am. Okay, I love starting with these two. So these are both off Kogut, right? Is that how do you pronounce the album with the church for this one?
Vocal sketches from Oaxaca.
Vocal
That-
sketches from Oaxaca.
That was the album.
Okay. I'm also like looking at these like very mysterious track titles where I was like, what is this?
Oh yeah, I wrote like because it's a long title, so I wrote the initials.
Yeah. I like the mystery of it. But I liked starting with these because there's a couple reasons why I kept coming back to these when you sent them to me. One, they're so gentle, and as maybe we listen through these other tracks, I thought this was a nice place to start. But you can also hear all the ambient life happening around the church. And for me, I felt like I was going on kind of a little tour with you, or like kind of walking around corners and like seeing things, or the birds that you hear and the cars and just the murmurings. It's almost like people are chiming into you singing, but you're very clearly like with yourself singing. Could you tell us about this church and how you came to work inside of it and sing inside of it? I think it's a bit of a mysterious place that people would love to know a bit more about.
So these two tracks were actually from two different churches. When I was in Oaxaca, before my friend sent me a website of historic organs in Oaxaca state, and they were like super beautiful instruments, and I really wanted to see them, but because it was like a pandemic, so most of the churches were closed, or like there was no access to the organ, so. But I would still go to because these churches are like in this state is like there is the city of Oaxaca, but there are around like small villages, like very beautiful places, and in every village there is some church, and mostly in these churches there are this historic organs. So I was like going around these churches for the purpose to see the organ. But when it was not accessible or the church was closed, then I would go to some other church in the village, or just like exploring. And then I noticed that like there was almost nobody there, and it's like a perfect acoustic space for just like I was singing there, and it was just like very beautiful sound, and I felt very comfortable because there was nobody there. so I would just like go around and do this. And these two tracks, like first one, it was this church in a small village called La Venta, and it was on the way from like Oaxaca city to the beaches, and it's like a very crazy road. It has a lot of curves. It's like you go, and when you go out of the car, you feel like like kind of drunk. So I decided to make this stop in the middle, and it was this village La Venta, and there was a really beautiful church there, and also like I was there for like 3 hours and nobody entered, so it was like just a perfect space to just like play with my voice when I was there, and it was just very pleasant.
I love that like it was like a stopping point for you to recalibrate.
Yeah.
You're just like, I need to sit down. So just so I understand, like, so these recordings, you had like a recorder with you, and when you went there, you know, once you found like a place you were comfortable, you would just start recording.
Yeah.
So they're not like
Totally.
post-edited or anything.
Yeah,
Are they
actually, I have to tell some secret, which is for me very funny that I recorded everything on like a recorder and on my phone, like kind of because on my phone it was easier to like listen straight back. And but it was not my intention to like use the recordings from the phone because I thought it's like lower quality. But then when I came back home, I realized that all the recordings from the recorder were damaged. so I was like, oh no, like. But then I had these recordings from the phone, and I was like, actually, I like them. I like how they sound like, and there is something like intimate in this form that it was not intention to be like something. It was just like very sketchy. Like that's how I called this album sketches. So I use these recordings from the phone. So all these recordings are made by my very.
That's what I was gonna say. Can you show people
old
this
school
phone?
iPhone SE, iPhone SE. Yeah.
Wait, hold this up again. I love this phone. Like, this is like an archive inside of an archive. I want this phone to like live forever. All right, well, let's listen to some more tracks. Okay. Ooh. Those are two more tracks off of the Oaxacan sketches. Um, I'm gonna focus on the last track we just listened to. What I really love about that one is it's the first time that we hear you singing with yourself in a way. Like there seems to be two of you in the room having a discussion. Um, but could you also tell folks about maybe how you use the room, like how you sat in the room and where you put the recorder? Because I think that relationship is really interesting.
Yeah. So for this one, I actually moved. That's why the the it, the kind of sound quality changed. Because usually I'm not moving much. I used to do some experiments with moving, but I feel like when I'm not moving, I get more into what's in my head. Like I kind of imagine the sound, and it's better focus for me than when I'm not moving. But for this one, I just like I was in one place and then I just turned around and it happened like this.
Yeah, these ones are really devotional, like, or at least that's my interpretation of them. It seems like you're kind of spiraling inward or kind of carving out like this space inside of yourself. Or at least when I listen to it, that's what I end up doing is kind of walking in these little circles. And I do love when I hear you singing with yourself. There's some kind of conversation that begins for me that's now like moving in a way like beyond the room, right, or beyond the acoustics of the room, and kind of these other imaginary spaces are coming to life in my mind. Let's listen to some more. Okay. I feel like we have so much conversation while these songs are playing. And then we have to try to remember to share that with all of you. Okay, so the two last songs that you heard are off of La Moonin, which is an album that you put out in 2020. In 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
And I think this was the album that it really like caught the attention of a lot of people around the world, just for one, the story of the places that you were in. You know, first you tried this out in a Javanese cave, right? And then you re-recorded, which are the tracks that we're hearing. You re-recorded those in a fortress in Poland, right? Can you let's first talk about like these two different sites. Can you tell us about the cave, just how you came to like find this cave or be in this cave, and like your experience inside of that, and then tell us about translating that into this fortress, and we'll talk about all the activities that happen in there.
Actually, this whole experience with the cave is very vast. But I can talk a lot about this. But in general, like I was just like writing in coming back from some trip, and I saw this sign of this Seplavan cave, and I never been in any cave before, so I thought I will just check it out, and I went there, and the road was like super long, like I was like going after the signs, and but I thought I will never get there because it was like I thought that it's already there, but then I see the sign, oh, Seplavan cave this way, and then after some time another sign, oh, Seplavan cave this way, and so it was like never ending, and the road was getting smaller and smaller and more like into the jungle and more like steep, and at some point I was like feeling really like where the fuck am I going? Like, what is this place? But at some point, like it was very misty and like really amazing vibe of the whole experience and place. And I got to this cave, and there was like a hole in the ground. The stairs were like going down, like spiral stairs going down into the hole, and it was so amazing. And then like going through this whole cave was like another kind of experience, because it had like few levels and few kind of chapters, of which was all of them were like discovering some new world, because I never been there in a place like this before, and it was super beautiful. And in the end there was this kind of big room which sounded really like some Gothic church. So I was just going there many times, and always like just singing there, and I just felt so good, like there was always like nobody there, and in this last room, because it was in the end, and also the cave was like quite dark, and so I was also recording there a lot, but there was a waterfall inside, and on every track there was the waterfall. So I kind of wanted some of the tracks to be without the waterfall. So I decided to record new material, and I did it in this fortress, because my sister told me there is this tunnel which has a beautiful reverb. So I went there. I was going there a few times, and like also just singing there and like feeling, and it's like a really beautiful place, because it's a big terrain, and there is forest and like this old buildings, and finally I just recorded it there. But this whole experience of the cave, I think it was so strong for me. That's why I kind of associated it with this whole experience I had in Java and in this cave, because I felt like it really changed my way of singing, because I was doing different things with my voice, but in this cave I felt like I went more into like very small details and like more meditative maybe, and that's why it was like about this experience in Java and cave, and the fortress I felt like I used for acoustic reasons more, even though it's like also very beautiful place.
There's so many questions that come to mind for me. Number one, we were chatting, while the songs were playing about the difference between recording on your phone or like just the texture of those recordings, right? How lo-fi they kind of feel in comparison to these. That those are sort of like voice memos or voice notes that you would send to your friends, and you did that with those, right? Like you were like recording and kind of sending them around to people. And then these other recordings are like so strong, but they're also so precious. Like they're so clear. I was saying that this album specifically, like it's like a laser beam for me, your voice. Like it cuts through whatever kind of spaces around it and like draws me to it. Or I think of it as like a light at the end of a tunnel that I'm trying to find my way to, because it just really seems to travel such a long distance to get to me. And we were talking about this idea of the laser beam inside of this fortress, but can you tell us like about all the other activities that happen there, and like because it was kind of funny.
I was saying that also they organized there like a techno festival, big techno festival. It's called the Institute, and so it's just like a kind of a rave. I never been there, but I heard. It's like kind of famous in underground. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah, I guess lasers always come up at some point, but or maybe that's just me. Last question about this one. Just when you're performing, because this is so related to two very distinct places. Like when you perform this live, can you go back to those places in your head? Like how do you come back to this?
It's also a very interesting question for me, because I don't have any like system, let's say. It's just everything happens very automatically, and I feel like I kind of, because I always perform with closed eyes, because in that way I can like go into somewhere, and I don't know actually how to explain or how to talk about this really, but it's kind of like something like memorizing some feelings of some places that maybe I've been to, but not necessarily, but that give me some kind of feeling. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does, and for some reason it's making me think about people that can like memorize infinite numbers. Like they have, it's like this memory association, like this incredible act of like cataloging in memory that has like really no words attached to it, right? But you're remembering through like a sense or through like a vision, even if it's like very hazy. And then that produces the note that you sing, right? Like there's this crazy like automatic memory that happens when you tap into that.
Yes, it's totally, for me it's even like I don't understand it. It's just so like happening itself.
And that's why it's so beautiful. Okay, let's listen to some more music. Okay, so the last two tracks were off of Langoria, which was your latest collaboration with Sophie Birch. Um, Also, just like such an exquisite album. Please listen to the whole thing. But I started this show by talking about how I'll play this show with people that I'd never played with before, and you can just have like these really magical experiences. And I think you and Sophie kind of had that connection right away. So can you tell us about just your collaboration a little bit and the act of lying down while listening to music, and sort of how this collaboration came about and how this record was built together?
Uh, we met with Sophie at Ephemera Festival, first time at Ephemera Festival in Warsaw. It was organized by Unsound Festival, and we had like only like half an hour sound check, and I felt like it was just such a good feeling to to perform with Sophie, and she's such an amazing person. I really love her. I don't know if she is listening, but I'm saying hi, and so it's just I feel from my side, from my experience, is like so with Sophie, so easy, like we I feel like we just do something and it's like this is it, like I feel like very very natural, organic connection in terms of sound and the feeling. It's I really love this kind of relation.
There's so when I was listening to this, the last track is called I hope I pronounce it right, but it's like Gior Lu Master, right? And some of the track titles, like My Ocean, things like that, really, are clearly conjuring like maybe a sense of place. But then some of these other titles are a bit more mysterious. What I love about that last track is that sort of how you give each other a chance to lead the conversation. Like I feel like Sophie lays down, and it's so controlled, but it's so powerful. It's like lays down sort of like these pallets or like these stepping stones for you to walk on, but then you kind of take her to like the next step and like sort of tell her where to put it. There's something about it that also on this album was for me somehow the first time I realized that you weren't using words. Like when I would just hear you sing, there was already a language there or something. I thought you were speaking to me, or I had words that were coming up in my head, but somehow now when you're with another person or with an instrument, I realize that you're not actually saying words. Which I loved, and I don't know why it took me that journey to get there. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about how you and Sophie talk to each other or lead and let each other lead.
I feel it's very very organic. When we were recording this album, actually it was like we would be in the studio, and some of us would have some idea with some instrument and for like some motif, and then we would like gradually build around it and like add some other stuff, and it was very like I felt very like it was really together, the process of everything. And also Sophie was singing, and I would play some synths, so it was more like a kind of whole I don't know how to explain it, like, but it wasn't like she was producing and me was singing, but more like we were just doing what we felt like to do with everything what we had around with us, and just like interweaving Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, you sent me an unreleased track that I'll play, and we're gonna end the show with Antonina maybe singing for us a little bit or doing whatever you want to do. And we're just gonna. Is there anything you want to say about this unreleased track, or should we just let it be a mystery?
I think let's keep it as a mystery.
I like a good mystery.
Okay, thanks. See you.
feel like I'm not gonna sing. I feel like I walked in on a secret. But anyway, that was lovely. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the extra time, and have a lovely day. Bye.
You are listening.
You are listening to the Lot Radio.